They did the usual journo tricks here, like having no named sources, all unnamed sources. You don't get to know, the public doesn't get to know who said the president said this. Meanwhile, there are quite a few on the record sources, including John Bolton, who hates the president's guts, who was there, right? This was all about that. Really, the center of this is whether the president said this when he was supposed to go to a memorial service for slain service members in France, and he didn't go because of weather. He's supposed to fly in a helicopter, couldn't go because of the weather, and they have now turned around and said he didn't go basically because he thinks that people who die in war are losers. This is absurd. Trump respects our Marines. He respects, our infantrymen. He respects our airmen. He respects our SEALs. He respects our submariners. I mean, Trump is a guy who thinks all that is really cool and really worthwhile and really awesome. Anybody who spent any time around him knows this. But the journos run with this storyline that he's, a bad guy. The journos run with this storyline that he actually hates all of them. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not. You have to remember that. If the sources, the unnamed sources behind all this came out and said, you know what, we made it all up, journalists would be a little bit upset at their reputational hit they would take. But they wouldn't be upset about defaming Trump. No, and they think defaming Trump is entirely justified. They think it's completely worthwhile. They have no problem with it at all. And then they also have to deal with the issue of the on-the-record sources. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany spoke to this. Play 5.
Well, I've heard from enough people. I've heard, in fact, from 19 on-the-record sources who put their names on their testimony. And those 19 sources, more than a dozen of which have first-hand accounts, have dismissed this, said it is fundamentally untrue. You have a liberal activist publication in The Atlantic proffering these absolute lies about President Trump. And again, cowardly anonymous sources won't put their name on their allegations. But you have now almost 20 people putting their names on this and saying that this is fundamentally untrue. And this president loves our veterans. I see it each and every day. He deeply cares about our military. And this is Democrats trying to wedge veterans away from a president that has done more for them than any president in the history of our country.
The libs are desperate, you see. They're desperate. We're coming out of this pandemic, and increasingly it's obvious to anyone who really looks at it that the most extreme lockdown advocates were wrong, and wrong again. Really no benefit from it at all. We've had months taken from us, months of our lives stripped from us as a nation. Going on really now, we're going to be at a year before you can even blink an eye. It's going to happen very quickly. For what? Oh, because the science, because Fauci, because Dr. Fauci's out there telling you don't do this, do that. The data, the mitigation. I don't think so. Here's part of the problem. You did have a few journalists come forward. Fox News' Jennifer Griffin. She said that they had verified the claims. Play clip 7.
I think it's important to mention that Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who you just heard from, was in the tank meeting at the Pentagon on July 20th, 2017, when the president berated the Pentagon 4-star generals, calling them losers and dopes and babies. Quote, "You're all losers," Trump said. "You don't know how to win anymore. I wouldn't go to war with you people," Trump told the 4-star generals. Addressing the room, President Trump exclaimed, "You're a bunch of dopes and babies." So when Mnuchin says he has never heard the president speak that way of the military or to generals, that's patently false. I confirmed with people who were present at the meeting the president used those exact words in the Pentagon. I also circled back with my sources this weekend who confirmed that the president did not go or did not want to go to the Ain Marne cemetery in France to honor the American war dead when he could no longer fly by helicopter, and that one of the president's favorite words, which he uses when he is angry, is loser.
That doesn't tell us anything about this story, really. Trashing 4-star generals. I'll trash 4-star generals all day. I'm not going to apologize for it. Some of them have been much more concerned with getting on the boards of big companies when they leave military service, or with the latest profile in Rolling Stone magazine, although look how that worked out for General McChrystal. A lib, by the way. Who knew? betrayed by the libs around him, the lib reporters around him who didn't care that he was a 4-star general in a theater of war. They wanted to get something written in Rolling Stone that would really get the libs fired up. Yeah, idiot cowards. But I'll criticize 4 stars all day for their policies and for the fact that they sit behind comfortable desks, just like analysts at Langley, just like people working in the Department of Motor Vehicles, folks. 4 stars are not taking some big risks. So don't expect me to sit around and say, oh, well, because this person is really senior in the hierarchy. I'm not in the military. I don't have to show them any respect at all. So Trump, that doesn't mean anything that Trump says that some of them are babies and whiners and losers. He might be right. We were told that Petraeus was some kind of great genius. He seems like a smart enough guy. But he had some things on his mind other than winning the war in Afghanistan. We all know that much. And then to be CIA director and do what he did with classified information, appalling. Oh, but he was a 4-star. Yeah, but he was a politician. It's the infantryman. It's that young Marine. It's that young Army Ranger, that logistics sergeant who comes back from Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria or wherever. That's the person that you buy a drink for. That's the person you say, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your service. You show them respect. 4-star generals? They're policy people. They're making decisions that affect the lives of those brave men and women who are actually over there taking the risks. It's not the same thing, Jennifer Griffin. Doesn't mean anything the president said that some of the generals are babies. He's right. Some of them are much more concerned with either getting that additional star or making sure that they get that cushy think tank work afterwards. I know this because generals come and go from the CIA where I used to work. Not always impressive. Some of them are great. Some of them are not great at all. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.